Most backyard bird lovers think their feathered visitors are just fine as long as they show up to the feeder. But what if I told you that birds are sending you urgent distress signals every single day, and most people completely miss them until it's too late? You might see a robin hopping on your lawn or a cardinal perched on your fence and everything looks normal. But look closer. That slight hesitation before taking flight, the unusual silence in your favorite oak tree, or even the way a chickadee holds its wing, these aren't just random quirks. They are critical warning signs, and if you ignore them, you could be missing the chance to save a life, or worse, you might be unknowingly contributing to the problem. Today, we're going to decode 7 specific behaviors and physical signs that American backyard birds use to tell us something is wrong. By the end of this video, you'll never look at your backyard the same way again. Let's start with the first sign, and it's one that tricks almost everyone. It's called fluffing, but not the cute kind you see on a cold winter morning. When a bird is sick or severely stressed, it will fluff its feathers out and keep them that way for hours, often sitting low on a branch or on the ground. Now you might think, oh, it's just cold. But if it's 70 degrees out and that house finch still looks like a fuzzy ball with its eyes half closed, that is a major red flag. Birds have incredibly high metabolisms. They burn energy fast. If they are conserving energy by fluffing up during the day, their body is fighting something serious. It could be a bacterial infection, parasites, or even poisoning from something in your yard. Most folks walk right past this, thinking the bird is just resting. But here's the surprising part. A bird in this state can deteriorate in less than 24 hours. If you see this, check your feeders immediately. Moldy seeds are a silent killer, and this bird might be telling you your feeder needs a serious cleaning. The second warning sign is all about movement, or rather, the lack of it. Have you ever noticed a bird that seems clumsy? Maybe it's missing the perch when it tries to land, or it's stumbling on the ground instead of hopping gracefully. This isn't just awkwardness. In species like the American goldfinch or the house finch, sudden loss of coordination is often a sign of neurological issues. One common culprit in the United States is salmonella, which spreads rapidly at dirty feeders. But there's another possibility that many people don't consider: pesticide exposure. If you've recently treated your lawn or garden, a bird stumbling around is a walking alarm bell. It means the chemicals are strong enough to affect wildlife. What happens next surprises many birdwatchers. If one bird is showing these signs, others in the flock are likely already affected, even if they look fine. This is why immediate action is crucial. Now let's talk about the third sign, and this one is heartbreaking because it involves parenting. Watch closely next time you see a pair of birds feeding nestlings. Normally, parents are frantic, coming and going every few minutes. But if you notice a parent bird arriving at the nest with food, and then just sitting there, not feeding the babies, or ignoring their begging calls, something is very wrong. This behavior often indicates that the parent itself is too weak or sick to care for its young. It's a survival instinct gone into overdrive. The bird knows it doesn't have the energy to sustain both itself and the chicks. This is a critical moment. If you see this, do not interfere directly, but take a hard look at your environment. Are there cats lurking nearby causing chronic stress? Is there a lack of natural insects due to chemical use? The silence of those hungry chicks is a loud warning that your backyard ecosystem is out of balance. Here's where things get really interesting. The fourth warning sign is auditory. You know how your backyard has a soundtrack, the chirps, the whistles, the rustling. When that sound suddenly stops, pay attention. A sudden, eerie silence in an area that is usually active is a classic sign of a predator presence, like a Cooper's hawk or a neighborhood cat. But there's another type of silence that's more subtle. If you notice that certain species have completely disappeared from your yard over the course of a few weeks, that's a warning too. For example, if the tufted titmice and chickadees that visit daily just vanish, it's not necessarily migration. It could be a disease outbreak or a change in food quality. Birds talk to each other constantly. If they've decided your yard is unsafe, they've sent the memo to the entire local network. You might be wondering why they left without a trace. The answer is usually found in what you changed recently. New landscaping, different seed, a new pet the birds noticed before you did. The fifth sign is physical appearance, specifically around the eyes and beak. Take a look at that morning dove or sparrow. Its eyes should be bright, clear, and alert. If the eyes look cloudy, swollen, or if there's any discharge, that bird is in trouble. Avian conjunctivitis is common in house finches and can spread quickly, but also look at the beak. If it's overgrown, crossed, or has strange growths, it's not just a cosmetic issue. A bird with a deformed beak cannot eat properly. It will slowly starve even if your feeder is full. This is a sign of long-term nutritional deficiency or a viral infection like avian pox. Believe it or not, seeing a bird with these symptoms is a call to action for you to sanitize your feeding stations. Bleach solution, scrubbed clean and dried thoroughly. It's the only way to stop the spread. Number 6 is perhaps the most misunderstood behavior, bathing. Birds love to bathe, right? Yes, but there's a difference between a refreshing splash and desperate, repetitive soaking. If you see a bird bathing multiple times a day, especially in hot weather, it might be trying to cool down, but it could also be trying to rid itself of external parasites like mites or lice. However, the real warning sign is when a bird bathes in dirty water or puddles near driveways where oil or antifreeze might be present. This shows a desperation for water that outweighs the instinct for safety. It suggests that natural water sources in your area are scarce or contaminated. By providing a clean, fresh bird bath, you aren't just being nice, you're providing a critical lifeline. But here's the catch. If you don't clean that bath daily, you turn it into a disease hotspot. The warning sign isn't just the bird's behavior, it's the condition of the water they're forced to use. Finally, the 7th warning sign is aggression. We usually think of birds as peaceful, but sudden, unexplained aggression is a major red flag. If a normally friendly cardinal starts attacking its own reflection relentlessly, or if a blue jay becomes unusually territorial and chases away all other species, including smaller ones it usually tolerates, it's under extreme stress. This can be caused by hormonal imbalances, but often it's due to resource scarcity. If food is low quality or scarce, birds become desperate. They fight because they have to. This behavior disrupts the entire social structure of your backyard community. It leads to injury and further stress. The reason why is actually amazing. Birds are highly social and cooperative when resources are abundant. Aggression is a sign that the balance has tipped. So what do you do now that you know these 7 signs? You become an observer. You don't need to be a scientist. You just need to pay attention. Check your feeders for mold. Clean your bird baths. Avoid pesticides. Plant native shrubs that offer natural shelter and food. When you see a fluffed-up finch or a silent tree, don't just walk away. Investigate. Your backyard is a small piece of the larger puzzle of wildlife conservation. Every bird that survives, because you noticed a warning sign, is a victory. Think about the last time you were out in your yard. Did you see any of these signs? Maybe you saw a bird that looked a little off, but you didn't think much of it. I'd love to hear your stories. Have you ever noticed a sudden change in your backyard bird's behavior? Let me know in the comments below. Your observations might help another viewer spot a warning sign before it's too late. Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes open. Nature is talking to us, we just have to listen. But wait, before you head out to check your feeders, there is a deeper layer to these warning signs that most people never even consider. We've talked about the physical symptoms and the obvious behavioral changes, but birds are masters of disguise. Evolution has taught them to hide weakness because in the wild, showing vulnerability makes you a target. So when a bird finally lets its guard down enough for you to see these 7 signs, the problem has often been brewing for weeks. Let's dig deeper into 3 more critical areas that act as early warning systems, expanding on what we've already discussed, because understanding the why behind these signs can literally change how you manage your entire property. Let's revisit the concept of silence, which was our 4th sign, but let's look at it through the lens of specific species interactions. You might have noticed that certain birds act as the neighborhood watch. In many American backyards, the black-capped chickadee or the tufted titmouse serves this role. They are incredibly vocal and curious. If you notice that these specific birds have stopped coming to your feeder, but the larger, more aggressive birds like starlings or grackles are still there, that is a massive warning sign. Chickadees and titmice are sensitive to air quality and subtle environmental toxins. They are also lower on the pecking order. If they are gone, it often means the risk level in your yard has become too high for the most cautious species. They've voted with their feet. The fact that the bold, aggressive birds remain doesn't mean the environment is safe. It just means those birds are desperate enough to ignore the danger. This imbalance is a critical indicator that your backyard ecosystem is skewed. You might be feeding the wrong crowd, literally. High-sugar seeds or cheap fillers attract invasive species that outcompete the native birds you actually want to support. The absence of the small, shy birds is a louder alarm than any noise. Now let's talk about a sign that is often mistaken for normal molting, but can be a serious health crisis. It's called feather plucking or poor feather condition. You might see a bird that looks ragged, with patches of missing feathers that don't look like a clean molt. Molting is a structured, symmetrical process. Birds lose feathers in a specific pattern so they can still fly. But if you see a house sparrow or a finch with jagged edges, bare spots on the chest, or feathers that look chewed, this is not normal. This is often a sign of severe stress or external parasites like mites and lice. But here's the twist. It can also be a sign of nutritional deficiency. Many commercial bird seeds are like junk food for birds. They are high in fat but low in essential vitamins and minerals. A bird eating only sunflower seeds might survive, but it won't thrive. Its immune system weakens, its feathers grow back poorly, and it becomes susceptible to disease. The ragged appearance is a visual report card of its diet. If you're seeing multiple birds with poor feather quality, it's time to diversify what you offer. Suet, mealworms, and fresh fruit can provide the protein and nutrients that seeds lack. Believe it or not, fixing your menu can reverse this decline in just a few weeks. Another subtle but deadly warning sign is related to water consumption patterns. We mentioned bathing earlier, but let's talk about drinking. Birds need water daily, especially in summer. If you notice birds hovering around your air conditioning drip line, gutters, or even pet bowls outside, it's a sign that natural water sources are insufficient. But the real warning is when you see birds drinking from puddles that contain standing water for days. Standing water is a breeding ground for mosquitoes and bacteria. If birds are forced to drink from these sources, they are at high risk for avian malaria and other waterborne diseases. This is particularly dangerous for hummingbirds. If you see a ruby-throated hummingbird acting lethargic, sitting on a branch for long periods instead of zipping around, it might be dehydrated or suffering from a sugar imbalance. Many people think hummingbirds only need nectar, but they also need insects for protein and clean water for hydration. A hummingbird that isn't moving is a bird in crisis. Setting up a dedicated, clean water source with shallow edges can be a lifesaver. And remember, change that water every single day. Stale water is worse than no water at all. Let's also address the issue of window collisions, which is a hidden warning sign of territorial stress. You might find a bird stunned on your patio or hear a thud against the glass. Most people think this is just an accident. But if it happens repeatedly with the same species, like a cardinal or a mockingbird, it's a sign of extreme territorial aggression. During breeding season, males see their reflection in the window and think it's a rival intruder. They attack the glass relentlessly. This behavior burns incredible amounts of energy and causes severe stress. If a bird is spending hours fighting its reflection, it's not feeding, it's not caring for its mate, and it's exhausting itself to the point of collapse. This is a warning that your home's placement or landscaping is creating a trap. Simple solutions like hanging decals, using external screens, or placing feeders either very close to the window, less than 3 feet, or far away, more than 30 feet, can stop this. If you ignore this sign, you aren't just watching a funny behavior, you're watching a bird slowly kill itself through exhaustion. Furthermore, consider the timing of visits. Birds are creatures of habit. They have internal clocks that are incredibly precise. If you notice that your regular morning visitors are arriving later and later, or if they are skipping meals entirely during peak times, it's a sign of disruption. This could be due to light pollution, noise pollution, or even changes in local traffic patterns. Birds rely on dawn chorus and natural light cycles to regulate their hormones and feeding schedules. Artificial light at night can confuse them, causing them to sing at odd hours or migrate at the wrong time. If your backyard is brightly lit all night, you might be disrupting their rest. Sleep is crucial for birds. Lack of sleep weakens their immune system and makes them more prone to errors in judgment, like flying into windows or failing to spot predators. Turning off outdoor lights at night is a simple change that can have a profound impact on their health. It's a warning sign that modern life is encroaching on their biological needs. Finally, let's talk about the ultimate warning sign, the presence of scavengers. If you start seeing an increase in crows, ravens, or even raccoons and opossums in your yard during the day, it's often because there is an easy food source available. This could be spilled seed, unsecured trash, or unfortunately, sick or dead birds. An increase in scavenger activity is a barometer for the health of your bird population. If crows are hanging around your feeders, they might be preying on nestlings or stealing food meant for smaller birds. This creates a cycle of stress and danger. The warning here is about security. Are your feeders secure? Is there fallen seed rotting on the ground? Cleaning up under your feeders is not just about aesthetics. It's about removing the beacon that attracts predators and disease carriers. A clean yard is a safe yard. So as you reflect on these additional layers, remember that every sign is connected. The ragged feathers, the silent trees, the aggressive reflections, they are all pieces of the same puzzle. Your backyard is a living, breathing entity. When you tune into these warnings, you become part of the solution. You aren't just a spectator, you're a steward, and that's a powerful role to play. Think about your own backyard. Have you noticed any of these subtler signs? Maybe you've seen a bird with ragged feathers or noticed that the chickadees have disappeared while the starlings remain. Share your observations in the comments. Your story might help someone else recognize a warning sign they've been ignoring. Let's build a community of aware, proactive bird lovers. Thanks for staying with me until the end. Keep watching, keep learning, and keep protecting our